Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day. I welcome you all to the day 9 of AWS series. Today's session is about AWS FSx. This session is all about Windows file system management on AWS. So without further ado, let's start the session.
Before we begin, subscribe to Intellipaat and don't forget to press the bell icon to get more updates.
First of all, let's understand what is Amazon FSx and then let's start off with it. So using FSx, we can launch and run high performing file systems with just a few clicks while avoiding tasks like provisioning hardware, configuring software, or taking backups. So it's pretty much the same as EFS, but there are some other features which FSx can do. So File System X has the capability of connecting to Windows File Server. Also, it has an option for Lustre. So we'll check out what is Amazon FSx for Windows File Server and Amazon FSx for Lustre later. Now let's understand what FSx provides us. So FSx is basically a high performing file system which provides these two features. Now, why should you use FSx? First of all, it's simple and fully managed. It's pretty simple to create. It's very simple to connect. Fast delivery, it's faster than EFS. And if you want to connect it to a Linux system, you can go for Lustre. Or if you want to connect it to a Windows system, there is no option in EFS at all. But in FSx, you have an option. Highly available and durable. The data in this particular file system is always available, and that is provided to you by the AWS SLA. And then pay only for the resources you used. This is for all the AWS services. Secure and compliant. This is for all the AWS services. Easy integration with other AWS services. Again, this is for all the other AWS services. If you're using an AWS service, by providing a role to another AWS service for accessing this, that enables that service to access this service. For example, if you're providing a role to an EC2 instance to access FSx, EC2 instances can then access FSx. Until then, they'll not be able to. Okay. So Amazon FSx for Windows File Server. So FSx for Windows File Server, a native Microsoft Windows file system so that you can move your Windows-based applications to this shared storage. For example, it will connect like a Windows file system in which you can store your applications, in which you can have your files, in which you can have your videos, audio, whatever file you want to, and it is compatible with all the Microsoft products as well. So it is built on a Windows server, and that is the reason it is compatible with all the Microsoft products. Okay, so now obviously there is no other go if you're using AWS and if you want to connect your shared file system to your Windows server. In that case, the only option you can go to is FSx, and it's a really great option. Now you get full support for the SMB protocol, Windows NTFS, Microsoft Active Directory integration. So all of these are Microsoft's products. So again, you can see Active Directory is required for Azure as well. They use Active Directory in Azure. And also, if you're using Active Directory, FSx is pretty good. It gives you full support for that. And also, FSx uses SSD for fast performance. It uses standard disk, so you will not have any other issues. It uses SSD and it will provide you great fast performance. Now, features of AWS FSx for Windows File Server. So as I told you, native Windows compatibility. So FSx supports all Windows versions starting from Windows 7. So Windows 7 and then Windows 8 if anybody is using it, and then Windows 10. Yeah, so you can connect it to Windows 10 as well, and that's the latest version right now, and it is compatible with all of those versions. Then broadly accessible, you can connect your file system to Amazon EC2. So EC2, you have a Windows server, right? You can launch a Windows server on EC2 and connect it to it. Or if you have a Windows server on Amazon Workspaces, you can connect it with it. Or if you want to connect it on VMware Cloud on AWS, you can do that as well. So it's fully managed. It's very simple to launch, very simple to connect to Windows. Built on SSD storage, designed for fast and consistent delivery. Also provides up to 2 gigabytes of throughput per file system. So you can see that it's really fast. It can write and read really fast. Okay. So what are the use cases of this file system? So first, lift and shift application workloads, and then software development environments. So in lift and shift, Windows-based applications and workloads such as enterprise, you have enterprise resource planning systems, customer relation management systems, and also custom-built applications which you have in .NET applications, custom-built .NET applications which you created. So all of this requires shared file storage, and you can basically use FSx for this purpose. And then coming to software development environments include source code and build repositories that reside on shared file storage to support many developers working on the same projects. Let's say there are 10 developers working on a single project. if they had to upload every single time. For example, if a developer is asking for the file and this developer is sending it to developer 1 is sending it to developer 2, in that case, all the other developers will not have that file and there will be an inconsistency in development. So having a shared file storage and storing all your source code in a single location will help you in a lot of ways, and developers can basically take the files from there and there won't be any inconsistency, because whenever there's a new file, you can upload it to the shared file system. And how does it work? So it's pretty simple. First, you create your FSx file system in AWS. Once you do it, you have to configure with Windows. Once you connect it with Windows, you can see access your file shares from your application servers and end user compute instances. So once you're connected, you will be able to access them. It's pretty simple. While doing the demos, you can understand it. Run your applications, use Amazon FSx file systems to share file data across application servers and end users. Okay, so you can use it for multiple purposes. One is running your applications. Support clients, access methods, and environments. Clients, it works on EC2 instances, workspaces, AppStream 2.0 instances, and VMware Cloud on AWS. So it works on all of this. Access methods, you can access it using its domain name servers names, and then distributed file system namespaces. So there are two access methods which you can use it. Then environments, you can use it for your on-premise environment, that is your local server which needs a file system, or you can use it for an AWS account in which you have an EC2 instance, which is a Windows server. Okay, so there's also a failover process, guys, for Windows file servers. So there's a multi-availability zone file system available. So when you select it, it will start the failover process automatically if any of the below conditions prevail. So if any of those below conditions which I have provided here, if any of that happens, the multi-AZ file system will start the failover process automatically. Okay, so first, an availability zone outage occurs. If one of the availability zone goes down, it will automatically launch, or it will automatically create a file system in another availability zone which is ready to go. The preferred file server becomes unavailable. So if you have a preferred file server as the primary server, and if that is unavailable, it will use a secondary server as the main one. So it will just fail over to the second one. And then the preferred file server undergoes planned maintenance. So when the primary file server is under maintenance, the secondary file server will be used for the time being. And once it comes back up, the failover will return to the primary file system. So it's pretty simple. The failover process is pretty straightforward. We can see that. Okay. Now, what exactly happens when a failover process starts? First of all, when a failing over from a file system server to another, the new file system will start serving all read and write requests. Once the resources are all available in the required subnet, FSx automatically goes back to the preferred file server. Third, for a failover to complete, it will take around 30 seconds from when it detected a failure. Okay, let's start from the first point. When a failing over, that is the failover process, from a file system server to another, from one server to another occurs, the new file system will start serving all read and write requests. For example, when the primary server goes unavailable and the secondary server is available, so when it's failing over, all the incoming read requests and write requests will now start going to the secondary file server. And once all the resources are available in the required subnet, the FSx automatically goes back to the preferred file server. That is, when this primary server comes back, when it is back live and when it is available, in that case, it will automatically shift the failover process from the secondary server to the primary server itself. So for a failover to complete from the primary to the secondary, or from the secondary to the primary, whatever it is, it will take around 30 seconds to complete from when it detected a failure. Okay, so this is the failover process. It's pretty straightforward. When one goes down, the other will be available. When other goes down, the other will be available. If both of it goes down, another server will be created. That's what we saw here. It'll automatically create one if you have a multi-AZ deployment. Okay, so we've seen Windows Server, guys. It's pretty straightforward. You create a file system, connect it to your Windows systems. The Windows system can be an EC2 instance, or it can be an EC2 instance, a workspace instance. It can be VMware on cloud, and you can connect it to using its DNS name as well. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. The failover process is also straightforward. Amazon FSx for Lustre. First of all, FSx for Lustre makes it very easy to launch and run the world's most popular file system. So Lustre is a really popular file system which is used by a lot of organizations. So what is the Lustre file system? The Lustre file system is an open source, parallel file system that supports many requirements of leadership class HPC simulation environments, which basically means The Lustre file system is used by a lot of high performance computing simulation environments. That basically means computers with really high powered CPUs are using Lustre as their file system. Then you can understand how fast reads and writes are in Lustre. So Amazon FSx came up with a Windows file server. Also it came up with Lustre file server so that you can connect it to any tool or any instance or any server you want to. Now, what are the features of FSx Lustre? First, it's a most popular high performance file system. It's even faster than EFS. It's the world's most popular file system as well as world's most fastest file system available. And multiple deployment options. You can deploy it to Windows, you can deploy it to Linux. Seamless integration with your Amazon S3 data. You can connect it with S3 and get the data from S3 as well, or export the data from the Lustre file system into S3. And data accessible to other AWS services, so you can allow other AWS services to access the data in the FSx file system for Lustre as well. You can connect it to your on-premise system and you can access it from your on-premise systems as well. And simple and fully managed is for all the AWS services. So it was for FSx for Windows file server. It is also the same for Lustre. So the main two features over here are, the first one is the most popular high performance file system. Second, multiple deployment options. EFS can only be deployed on Linux, that is on Ubuntu, Red Hat, whatever Linux operating systems are available. Basically, you can only use it on Windows, but Lustre can be connected to various operating systems, so you don't need to worry about that. Okay, now you can integrate it with S3, which makes it easier to process data sets.
Just a quick info, guys. Test your knowledge of AWS by answering this question. Amazon S3 is which type of storage service? A. Object. B. Simple. C. Secure. D. Block. Comment your answer in the comment section below. Subscribe to Intellipaat to know the right answer. Now, let's continue with the session.
When linked with S3, Lustre shows all the S3 objects as files, and any change made will reflect in the S3 bucket too. If you connect your FSx file system for Lustre to your Amazon S3 bucket, in that case, all the objects within the bucket will be shown in the Lustre file system as well, and vice versa. So in this case, what happens is whenever you make a change to these objects in your file system, that will be reflected in the S3 bucket as well. Yeah, so when you make a change in the S3 bucket, that will be reflected on the file system as well. If you have a large data set stored in S3, you can basically access it in real time using the FSx for Lustre file system. Now, what are the use cases? First of all, machine learning is one, and media processing and transcoding. So you can see this, the use cases for Lustre are machine learning and media processing and transcoding, and these require really high performance computing systems, and that's why they're using Lustre. So ML workloads use massive amounts of training data. Multiple instances need to process training data simultaneously, so a shared file storage is very helpful. And what else is better than a shared file storage which is also compatible with high performance systems? So machine learning requires a high performance system, and Lustre can handle that. So that's why we can use Lustre if you're going to basically use training data sets which are very massive for running your training on your machine learning algorithm. Next comes media processing and transcoding. Media workflows like video rendering and visual effects need the compute and storage resources to handle the massive amounts of data being created. For example, in YouTube, if you're trying to click on something and the video starts streaming, there's a huge process running in the background, right? So the same thing, let's say you are trying to create your own streaming platform and you're going to transform and modify and process your video before it's going to play. So to store all the temporary files, to store the video which is created by that processing, so that video should be stored in a place, right? So for that, you can use FSx for Lustre because it's really fast and you can easily write into it. So these two are the major use cases. There are still a lot of use cases which you can research and learn about. Okay, now let's look at the pricing of the Windows file server and the FSx file server. So first, let's look into the pricing of Windows file server. So this is for the North Virginia region. So this varies with the region as well. There won't be bigger differences. There will be smaller differences, but still. Okay, so first for SSD storage, for single AZ deployment, you have 0.130 per GB per month, and multi-AZ deployment is $0.23 per GB per month. So this is what you'll have to look into. If it is a single AZ deployment, for practice, it will be very cheap, and if it is a multi-AZ deployment, it will be more. And yeah, so if we go with SSD, the transfer rate will be faster, the throughput will be faster. Over here in HDD, it's 0.013. So it's much cheaper than SSD, and it's much cheaper in multi-AZ deployment as well, SSD. And okay, then throughput capacity is cheaper in single AZ deployment, and it's higher in multi-AZ deployment, because we obviously know in single AZ deployment they're launching file systems in only one availability zone. In multi-AZ, it's in multiple availability zones. Backup storage, if you need backup, if you want to take up snapshots, it will cost you 0.05 dollars per GB per month. Same thing goes with single and multi-AZ, because it's just snapshots. So a pricing example, okay? So let's assume you want 10 TB of general purpose file share data using HDD storage. So it's not SSD, it's HDD storage. You want this in North Virginia region. So based on typical deduplication savings of 50 to 60%, you provision a 5 TB multi-AZ file system with 16 Mbps of throughput capacity. Assume you have an average backup storage of 5 TB during the month. Now let's calculate the pricing for this. So storage, you're choosing 5 TB, okay? And it's multi-AZ deployment, remember that. So over here, you can see the multi-AZ deployment price, right, for HDD. Over here, you can see the price which we are multiplying. It's the multi-AZ deployment's price. So 5 TB into HDD's multi-AZ deployment price is equal to $128 per month. Throughput is 16 Mbps. And over here, you can see it is $4.5 per Mbps per month. It's 16, so it's $72 per month. Backup, we are choosing 5 TB. That basically means 5 TB into $0.05 per GB per month. So it's $256 per month. So the total cost would be $456, or it would be $0.045 per GB for a month of 10 TB of data. So for 10 TB of data, it will cost you $0.045 per GB of data per month. The total cost is $456. Now let's look at the pricing for Lustre. And over here, there are 4 options which you get. One is Scratch, one is Persistent, and there are other 2 persistent options. If it is Scratch, it's 200 Mbps baseline, 1.3 gigabytes burst. That basically means at any point in time, you'll at least have 200 megabits per second read or write throughput. And if there is a need for increasing the throughput, then it can go up to 1.3 gigabits per second. Persistent, same options. Other persistent 100 and 1.3, 50 and 1.3. So persistent 200 is the most expensive one, $0.29 per GB per month. Scratch is $0.14, persistent is $0.19, and persistent 50 Mbps is $0.14. Okay, so another pricing example. Assume you have a Scratch file system in the US North Virginia region, which has been provisioned with 4,800 GB of storage capacity, and you spin up your file system for an 8-hour workload every day. So basically, for 30 days a month, you are switching on your file system for 8 hours a day. So it would be 8 hours into 30 days, and you're having a 4,800 GB of storage capacity, and you're launching a Scratch file system. So over here, Scratch file system costs you $0.14 per month per GB. Coming over here, so the pricing of Scratch divided by 30, that is the month, divided by 24 hours. So it's going to cost you $0.000194 per GB per hour. So now the total storage you have taken is 4,800 GB. So total storage into per GB hour cost into 8 hours into 30 days. So it will cost you $224 for this particular setup. So guys, this is just an example. You can calculate all of your AWS services like this by taking an example like this, or if you're actually using them, you can take the pricing and calculate the pricing which you will be receiving before starting off creating those in AWS services. We're going to look into a demo on Amazon FSx for Windows File Server. So first, launch a Windows instance in your AWS EC2 management console. Then we'll have to create an AWS managed Active Directory, so Microsoft Active Directory. With the aid of the Active Directory, we'll be connecting the FSx file system to our Windows server. So now let's open the console. Okay, so before starting off with the file system, over here I have my Windows machine. So I'll just start it. And okay, so I have the RDP, so I'll just download it once again and let's connect it. And then I have my Active Directory service set up. So to set up your directory,
just a quick info, guys. If you want to make a career in cloud and DevOps, then Intellipaat provides an advanced certification in cloud computing and DevOps by ENICT Academy IIT Roorkee, and it is taught by IIT Roorkee professors and industry experts. This course is designed to help you upskill and land in your dream job. Now, let's continue with the session.
Get a domain name from Freenom or use an existing domain name. Provide AWS managed Microsoft AD. Next, click on standard edition. Provide your DNS name over here. So whatever DNS name. And then provide the admin password. So you should have special characters, capital letters, and numbers. So I'm just providing one similar to that. And then once provided, click on next. And then here provide the subnets, or you can leave it at no preference. Next. That's it. So you have a 30-day limited trial. So you can use directory service if you are new to AWS. And this 30-day limited trial starts when you create your first Azure Active Directory, not Azure Active Directory, Microsoft Active Directory. Okay, so when you start off with that, you will get your 30-day limited trial. And within 30 days, using this is completely free. After that, you will start getting billed. Okay, so I already created one. So you can see over here, I use this. So I have this domain name. So I'm using this. Next, I have my EC2 instance. Yeah, so I just started it right now. Okay, let me download the RDP file, opening it. So I have the password over here. So this is the key I provided while launching. So what you'll have to do is you will have to provide the PEM file to decrypt it, then decrypt password, copy your password, paste it over here, click on remember me. So after this, whenever you want to connect, you don't need to provide your password. Clicking on yes. Okay, so this will open my Windows instance. So my Windows instance is open, guys. So let me just minimize this. Going to Amazon FSx. Now let's start off with the file creation. Now clicking on create file system, Windows file server, and next. So first you'll have to provide your file system name. So the process is pretty simple. For example, I'm just providing my file system name as Windows FS. Then if you want a deployment type of multi-AZ, you can provide that. I'm going to go with single availability zone. So just provide that. And then I'm going to choose SSD, and 32 GB of storage is the minimum. So I'm providing that. And I'm going to leave the throughput capacity at 16 Mbps. You can increase or decrease it from here. And then choose the VPC, the security group. If you want to actually provide exactly which VPC you want, which security group you want, or just leave all of that as default. And then it's going to be AWS managed Microsoft Active Directory. As I told you, create this, click on choose directory. The directory is over here. Come down, click next, review it once, and click on create file system. So once this gets created, then we'll be able to basically start off with the process of connecting it to our Windows system. Okay, so before that, let me just open control panel and keep, because the system would be pretty slow. Okay, so network and internet, network and sharing, change adapter settings. Okay, so the thing is, let me introduce you to this. So first of all, go to control panel, go to network and internet, go to network and sharing center, go to change adapter settings, and you'll have to go to properties of this, and you'll have to change the IPv4 address to the IPv4 address you will get from this particular Windows file system. So once you get that, we can start off with the process, because right now we do not have the IP address. Once we get the IP address, we can start off with it. So let's wait until the IP address is available, because until then we cannot proceed with the demo. Okay guys, it's still showing it's creating, but I think the IP address and the endpoint is available. You can see it over here. Okay, and also the DNS name. So let's start off with connecting them. Okay, so let's open the Windows mission, and I've already shown you how to get here. Now do a right click, go to properties, and over here you will get an IPv4 option. We'll have to double click on that. But don't get frustrated while doing this, because the server at the beginning will take a lot of time. So this is the one. Do a double click, and over here So basically it'll be like this: obtain DNS server address automatically, but you'll have to provide use the following DNS server address, then get this IP address, paste it over here. Okay, and then okay. So we've provided the IP address for our file system. Now close this. Now go back, basically go to control panel home, or just go over here, then go to system and security, and then go to system. So the thing is, we'll have to connect the Active Directory, right? So to do that, we'll have to connect it through system. So through system, we'll have to actually provide the domain name. So we have the domain name, that is intellipaat.ga. Okay, so over here, go to computer name, go to change, go to domain, and provide the actual domain name. So it's intellipaat.ga and hit OK. Active Directory domain controller for the domain could not be contacted. So there is some issue. So I think it's still getting created. Let's check that. Yes, it is still getting created, but my domain is active and available. So I don't know why it is not able to communicate with that. Let's check the inbound rules. Okay, let me check the inbound rules once. So only RDP is allowed. Let's allow all traffic. Okay, anywhere. Save rules. Now closing this. Now I just wanted to check for outbound rules as well, because it will also send requests outside of the server. So outbound rules. So all traffic is allowed in outbound rules. Okay. So now let's go ahead over here. Let's try this once again. I think it'll still throw the error. Okay, let's just check it out. Okay, so the mistake was not this. I found out the mistake. So I am entering the wrong IP address, guys. I'm sorry. So we'll have to enter the IP address of the directory service, because we are connecting the directory service to the file system. So what happens is the Windows server will contact Active Directory. Active Directory will lead us to this file system. So for that, we'll have to use these IP addresses over here. Okay. So now let me copy this IP. Going over here, we close this. We'll have to go back to network and internet, go to network and sharing, and go over to change adapter settings. So same process. I'm just going to IPv4 now. Okay, again, double click on that, go over here. So now change the IP address of this. So I think I changed 162. I'll have to change the alternate IP as well. Changing it and clicking on OK. Okay, so this is done. So let's close this. Go back, system and security, and where is it? System, and going to advanced system settings or system properties. And once you enter system properties, go to computer name and click on change domain. So now we can provide the Active Directory domain name because we have entered the right IP address. Okay, so right now it'll ask for the username and password, and this is the username and password which you provided while creating this. And over here, so username would be this, Intellipaat would be the username. So this is the username. Password will not be provided here, you should remember that. So I'm providing my username, and my password, I'm not going to tell that, so I'm just entering that and clicking on OK. And it will show a pop-up that it is connected successfully. So if that is provided, then we can establish the connection. Okay, the following error: attempting to join the domain Intellipaat.ga, the username or password is incorrect. Okay, so username is Intellipaat, the password exactly let's reset user password. Username is Intellipaat New password is going to be, I'm going to provide this, and reset password. Intellipaat does not exist, so what is the username? What is the username I provided? Okay, I think the username is admin. Let's check out that. And reset password. Okay, so admin was the username. Okay, because I didn't remember providing any usernames over here, now I'm providing the username and password. Okay, welcome to the Intellipaat.ga domain. So now the connection is successful. Now just provide OK. And just close this. Okay, so we can restart it now or we can restart it later. I'm just restarting it now. Okay, so let it restart. Let's just look into now how to connect the file system. So to connect the file system, it's pretty simple. Select the file system, click on attach. So we've manually done this part, that is connecting our Active Directory. So the second part is just copying this, and I'm just going to open Notepad over here. So you'll have to provide an appropriate drive name. Okay, so if your drive name is already used up, you cannot use that drive name. For example, C drive, D drive will already be used, so you cannot use that. Over here, I'm going to provide H, and I'm copying this and closing it. So I think it's the Windows server will be available right now. I'll download the, no, not required. Let me open the remote desktop connection again, connect. So these two were the previous ones. So you can see these have different IP addresses. So I'll just delete this. Okay, initiating remote connection. It'll take some time. So let's wait. The thing is, I think it's still rebooting. So let's wait until it gets rebooted. Okay, now I tried again. So I think now the connection is going in. Okay, so once it gets connected, we can use this to connect our Windows file share. So let's wait until the session opens. It's configuring the remote session right now and it's opened it. Okay, so let's wait until we get the Windows system. Let me just do this. Okay, so the instance is logged in. So now let me open the command prompt. Okay, command prompt, I'm opening it. So once command prompt opens, we'll just have to copy and paste this. So I'll just copy this, and command prompt is opened. So two command prompts are opened. Let me just close this, go back over here. Okay, so command prompt is available and I just copied it and pasted it over there. And enter username for this particular file system. So the username which I provided, I nearly forgot it. Let me go over here. Okay, so the DNS name is this, the IP address is this, the username is, I think it's admin, password. So I think the network password is incorrect. Okay, let me check here once. So after this, it's asking for a password. So while I gave a password, administration. Okay, let me just try. Okay, so the password is incorrect again. Okay. Again, there is an error. So I totally forgot what was the file system's password. Okay, so this is the username, and okay, let me try this. This might be it. And again, this is also wrong. What if it's root? Okay, so I totally forgot the password. So the only option is that we'll have to basically reconnect this by creating a new Windows server, Windows file system. So that will take a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is Let's try this once again. Provided the letter properly. Okay. So this is for installing in Amazon EC2 or Workspaces or VMware Cloud. And over here, so let me create a file system. And single AZ, 32 GB. Same. Next. The thing is, we did not give any password or any. Okay, let's try that. Okay, I did not provide any username. Enter the username for this. Let me just provide the same. System at 86. Okay. Okay, password is wrong again. Let me provide admin. No. Let's try with root. Okay, let's provide Intellipaat. So even this is wrong. So this is the directory name. This is the Windows file server's name. Okay, so we'll have to provide the password for this and what it is. That's what I forgot. Okay guys, I think we've done this. Let me just create one more. Let's try to connect it. Okay, so there is no where we provide an ID and a password. I don't think that is necessary to connect. Okay, I think I have the solution. Okay, so I think first we'll have to provide our domain name. So once again, let me do one thing. Let me clear it. Okay, so let's start fresh and let me provide this. Okay, so first, to provide the username, we'll have to provide the domain name. So under domain name, it's admin. So sorry, invalid username. So admin is the username. So hit enter. Okay, sorry, one more mistake. Yes. Yeah, one more mistake. So over here, I'm providing my username / admin, my username. So domain name / username. Then I'm providing the yes. So the command completed successfully. So the error was we'll have to provide the domain name over here, and then we'll have to provide the username and password. So guys, it's completed successfully. Let's check it out. Let me open over here. We'll have to go to network. Okay, sorry, this PC. Yeah, so under this PC, you can see the share is being connected in H drive. So that's it guys, this is the demo. This is the end of the demo. So I don't know why I created this. I'll just delete this. So again, deleting is also straightforward. You'll just have to provide the ID of the file system. Okay guys, we've completed the demo for Windows file server.
Just a quick info, guys. If you want to make a career in cloud and DevOps, then Intellipaat provides an advanced certification in cloud computing and DevOps by ENICT Academy IIT Roorkee, and it is taught by IIT Roorkee professors and industry experts. This course is designed to help you upskill and land in your dream job.
Now that we are done with the session, don't forget to subscribe to Intellipaat and press the bell icon to get the latest updates on Intellipaat.